Okay, how's it going? So we're gonna give this another crack. We tried the other night and had nothing but technical issues, which checks out. So yeah, welcome to my live streams. I wanted to do this for a while actually, which is just stream the process of creating 3D character art from start to finish. Especially at the moment with like how AI is and you can never tell what you're looking at on the internet. I think it's now more than ever really important to sort of share the process of creating art, whether no matter what that is. And I figured if I was going to be sitting here creating it anyway, I might as well record it and yeah, do that. And so, as I said, this one tonight is going to be really short because I just want to make sure everything's kind of working. It hasn't been, and figuring out how to get streaming working is a nightmare. But yeah, we're going to get going. Today is going to be just pretty much going through picking a concept for this project, how I go about choosing concepts, and then building a reference board for the project to go forward. And then, yeah, over the next few streams, we'll slowly get the project started. And then when I figure out a good schedule going forward, we'll set it more in stone. So let's see if everything's working. So here you can see I have a little PureRef board. Okay, PureRef is the app I use for reference gathering and everything like that. I think it's fantastic. It's free software. It's great. And then these are just a bunch of concepts that I have gathered together. It's not all the concepts that I have saved across multiple platforms, but it is, I think, the ones that interest me the most, at least now. And so I put them all in this reference board here, and I'm going to sort of go through them and figure out which one I want to work on. And it is a big decision because, creating a 3D character takes a long time. Planning on at probably 12 weeks for this project, sort of at a minimum, 16 at sort of the maximum, really depending on what concept we choose. And so, yeah, I don't want to choose something that interests me long term because 3 to 4 months spent on one project. I mean, I know there's going to be periods of not being super stoked, but it's pretty standard. But yeah, so when I'm gathering reference, I pretty much use ArtStation all the time. I pretty much scroll through there, and as I find concepts that I like, I'll go through and I'll save them to my collections. All right, and then I have them saved here. Just a bunch of concepts as I like them, and they're saved here with the intention that I probably do want to make them at some point. Not all of them, but you never know. As I see something, I just save it. I also use Instagram a fair bit now because a lot of artists are posting there as well. I used to use Pinterest a lot. The downside is Pinterest is kind of really flooded with AI now. And so it's not my favorite platform to look at because it's hard to decipher now what is real and what's not. Whereas at least on ArtStation, you can tell it's an actual artist and I can reach out to them as well if I want to use their concept. Same on Instagram. I'll be able to reach out. And so, yeah, super stoked and looking forward to checking out these concepts. So, jumping over to this, you can see I have a bunch of concepts here, all kind of different as well. Like some are, there's some normal female fantasy warriors, there's some like crazy monsters, some whatever this thing is. Again, all concepts that interested me. And I think that's really important. I feel like when choosing a concept, it's very hard to find something that covers everything. And in fact, I was going to actually do this. We'll do a little Venn diagram because that's what I use to sort of figure out how to choose a concept. And hello to everyone. So let's see. Again, getting everything working should be fun. Watch everything break as well, because that usually, I'm an artist, not a techie kind of guy. Right. So yeah, looking at concepts. Okay, you want to kind of do a few things. So it's a Venn diagram. I feel like it's going to be 3 circles, and we obviously want to cover this here in the middle. All right. So the first one is going to be like what I'm interested in. All right. So like I need to be interested in the concept. Like I said, I'm going to be spending months on it. So it's got to excite me in one way, shape, or form. Then the next thing is going to be sort of, we'll call it like knowledge. All right. Or difficult. All right. And this is sort of like choosing a concept that is something I know I can do, but difficult enough that it's going to challenge me. I always want like a character to push me in some way, shape, or form, so I'm learning. Okay. And I did know what the third one is, and I've totally forgotten. That's going to be ability. Okay. And so knowing I can actually do it. That's the tough part. So there is I feel like most of the concepts I've got here in this board are definitely going to be difficult, but I do think I have the ability to do them. There's going to be a big learning curve, but that's what you want, right? You want this to sort of overlap in the middle, a nice concept that's interesting, difficult enough that I'm going to learn from it, but also not difficult enough that, I don't have the ability not to complete it, because not completing a project is very disheartening, and, you can get a bit lost in it. And so let's jump across to my little board here. So I think one thing I do, like when I'm looking at concepts, is like, I think I really like textures, right? Like you can see here, all these characters, they've got accessories, they've got armor, weapons, there's some weird things going on with them. That's what I love. And let's sort of start looking through here. And I'm probably just going to really quickly like go through and start probably deleting things if I don't want to do it. This one is probably going to be the first thing I don't think I'm going to do. I like it. I found it on Instagram. It's a really cool concept. Again, like I love doing these sort of sci-fi sort of pieces and bits and bobs, and there's like nice and interesting and everything like that. But I think, when we go back to that Venn diagram, I'm not as interested in this. I don't think long term is going to be something I'm going to want to do. So we're going to just pop that off, move on to this guy here. Now this one's tough. There's a lot going on here. It's a super, super busy concept. We've got like lots and lots of stuff, on the character. But like, again, like a lot of this looks like really fun. And another great thing with this concept is that it's really readable. It can be really scary sometimes choosing a concept, and I don't think I have any here. Let me see if I can get a good example here. We can pull this over. So this is from ArtStation. Like, this is a really cool concept. I really like it. From an artist perspective, it is like, yeah, I do agree. It is definitely like too busy for this guy here. This one, I love the concept. Like the colors are cool. I can see what they're going for, but the type of style that 2D artist has used makes it relatively hard to read. And as a 3D character artist interpreting concepts, I don't want to be designing too much. Character designer and a character artist, two completely separate jobs. I'm not a designer. I'm a 3D character artist, or at least I'm trying to be a 3D character artist. And so when a concept like this is not, it's not bad. Definitely not. No way. It's like an awesome concept. But when you compare it to something like this, where like you can very clearly see what's going on here, it's definitely harder to read, and it's not something I would want to spend too much time on, because I'd get frustrated over time. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Yeah, crying mode, definitely very busy. Like this guy's got like a palm tree. I don't know what that is. Something there. He's got a dagger here, whatever this is. Got a weapon here, sword there, stuff. There's so much going on. But it's readable. But yeah, I think I agree with you. Like, I think it is too busy to work on. Yeah, I just think it's one of those things where like you're gonna you look at it and it's almost like impressive because of the amount of detail, but that's not what's like good about it. It's a cool concept though. So no. Now this concept here, this is something that I've been wanting to make. It keeps coming back to me, and I really like it. We are running into a little bit of the readability thing with this sort of painterly style, but then the artist has been pretty good here, giving you another another angle of the character, and it reminds me of what's that movie came out, The Creator. Yeah, The Creator. It reminds me of the Creator movie. And that sort of stuff is really cool. I really, really like that. I'm trying to find the concept over here on my board. Where was he? He's disappeared. He's disappeared. How can I have like lost it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, and then like if we have a look actually, so this is the artist's page, and he's actually given a way more of a breakdown. So there is more images available. Another good point is like when you're looking for um, concepts, if the artist has gone to the sort of effort to make like one of these sort of like sheets here where they break down individual parts of the concept, I mean, it's going to make your life so much easier to just translate that into 3D. This is not, I won't say it's a front runner, but it's definitely, yeah, it interests me. I like it. I think there's a lot going on. There's some cool sculpting going on here with like the burning, some cool techie stuff. Yeah, I think with sci-fi and like Oriental, I think it's just like a nice play because there's a lot of history with Oriental design and everything like that, and it's cool to have that juxtaposition when doing sci-fi. It also grounds it a little bit more in reality. Like I feel like we look at this and clearly there's some samurai swords going on. I almost get this as like a futuristic kind of I don't know what they're called, but like the hats that they wear in the rice fields and stuff like that. So yeah, looking at the next one, I'm going to leave this one here. Here's the other thing. So one of the most recent, if not the most recent character I created is this guy here, the Cyber Soldier, which turned out really well. I'm really happy with that one. And then another one I recently did as well is this sort of like, I don't know what you want to call this. It's like a space tech chick. I don't want to choose another sci-fi character. I don't want to like pigeonhole myself into sci-fi and keep doing it over and over. It comes back to what I was saying earlier with being interested in the concept. And so as much as I love this concept here and I do really want to work on it, I just don't think I could do like another sci-fi piece. I think I need to start doing something a bit different. I also have like a cyborg in there, so I am definitely like leaning more into sci-fi. So because of that, I think he's got to go, which, doesn't mean couldn't do it another time, I guess. Next one. This is one that is funny. It's also sci-fi, but has more of like a fantasy look to it. The thing that concerns me with this concept is that there's a lot of fur. So there's obviously this like either feather or fur top here with the headdress and the hair. I'm not good at that stuff. I suck at hair cards. I am, and definitely something I need to improve on. But I think going into something like this, where there is so much, like there's so much of it, it's like the make or break for this piece. And if I can't do it, I worry that I think I need to choose a simpler piece for me to practice on first. It's a cool concept though. Blasting through these, it's really easy to cull them sometimes when you start looking at it. Now, I really like this concept, but I am gonna just disqualify it straight away for working on it, mainly because it's I don't even know the right word for it. It's really cool, but like I think I want to work on a humanoid character. I think it would be really really good for me for my portfolio. Um, Another thing you have to think of, right, is like what's going to work in the portfolio, what's going to work for you. And as cool as it is, you know, I just don't think it's going to fit me at this time. Now, this concept, I mean, I freaking love this concept. It gives me like Dark Souls, Elden Rings kind of vibes. You know, it definitely, I mean, it's pretty readable. You know, there's a little bit of stuff going on here that's a little bit up to interpretation, but it's probably chainmail or something like that. And there'd be a lot of working out how this all connects together, or at least here, how it connects together. But for the most part, not too bad. But here we run into another problem, and it's this little icon right here, Rust Moon. So this concept is actually from a studio, and one of my mentors last year, this is it here. So Rust Moon Studios, and like luckily they do post the artists, which is cool. But the downside is that when it's a studio's concept, if they have ownership over this piece, it can be a little bit hard to, sometimes get approval to create it or post it, right? When it's an individual artist, usually it's like flattering, right? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And so I've never had an issue reaching out to an artist and being able to work on a piece. But because it's a studio, they could very easily, I could create this, post it, and then they could come back and say, look, we don't want you to post it. And so not always a given, but something a mentor taught me last year is that if you can, try to avoid using concepts from studios. So yeah, probably not going to use this one, unfortunately. Trying to make my characters for my graphic novel. Are you designing the characters or are you building them out from existing designs? Like, definitely two different avenues to go for it. I think if you're designing the characters yourself, that is definitely harder, right? Very easy. I think, especially if they're human characters and that sort of thing, can be very easy to be generic. But also, as we saw with the fantasy guy, the sort of soldier concept can be a little bit. It can be easy to go in the other direction as well. So, yeah, creating them from scratch. Okay. Do you have any sketches at all, or just completely going from scratch in 3D? So, looking at these concepts, they're going to get, this one's going to get disqualified from me for the similar reason as the one before, in the sense that it's just not humanoid enough. Obviously, it's some kind of like robot. Don't hate it though. I might come back to it. It'd be really cool for hard surface sculpting and everything like that. And oh yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. This one is going to be disqualified for the same, for me, is thank you. Same reason, it's sci-fi. And funnily enough, I just really do want to do another sci-fi, but for my portfolio, I just know it would be better to venture out. So we are down to 3, and I've obviously looked at these concepts. I already have an idea of which one I really do want to do. Okay, I mean, like if you've got the sketches already, that helps. I think as long as you've got, um, you know, something on paper to sort of start from, that really helps. I know one of the Jay Hill, who's like huge on YouTube, and I've done his character course before. The first thing he likes to do if they're human based characters is he calls it casting. So like finding a real life person, doesn't have to be famous, just if you see an image online or something like that, to roughly base their face off of. Um, I wonder if we can go back to that fantasy guy. I'm gonna jump over to my collections over here because that's I've deleted already. Oh, where is he? Where is he? Like when I see this, can we increase the size there? No. Anyway, when we see this guy's face here, I see Kit Harington from like Game of Thrones, and so like if I was to sculpt this guy, I would be getting facial references of Kit Harington to do the face. And so for your characters, I do the same thing. Like if you have an idea, again, it doesn't have to be a famous person. Maybe you come across someone who's got a really interesting face. That'd be like the starting point, especially if they're human characters, because that's where all the emotion is and everything like that, and what we connect with. And then I mean, obviously, if it's a graphic novel, you've already built a story up around it, so that that'll help, and use that to sort of drive the design process. I don't want to keep using him as an example, but Jay did a dragon hunter concept. Let's see if we can pull him up. Yeah, this guy here. And so it was a dragon hunter. And so he did this scar here on the face, right? And, the reasoning behind it is like, this guy's probably been attacked. And so using those like little backstory pieces, man, I wish I could do that kind of hair someday, hey? Yeah, using those sort of story design pieces to help inspire some pieces obviously helps. So we're down to 3. And, before I sort of disqualify a couple of things, I'm going to just be straight honest. This is the one I'm going to make. Couple reasons why I'm going to work on this one. It's, it's a humanoid character. Okay, definitely something I need in my portfolio. It's a female feminine character, not something I have a lot of, not something I've worked on a lot of. And so for me, in terms of like back to that sort of Venn diagram that we're looking at, it comes down to here into the knowledge and difficult part. And, it's going to be able to push me a little bit. And also like the hair, right? So she's got hair, not a lot of hair, but some hair. You got some braids. Braids are a little bit easier to do, to be fair. But enough that I can practice on. All right. And even if I really struggle with the hair, I'm going to be able to spend some time on it and iterate and iterate and iterate until I get better. And so I think this is a great place to start. What we were talking about before, the concept is very well defined. Like even in here, like with the armor, there is some very clear detailing going on. In terms of under the armor, I'm not guessing what's going on. There's clearly a blue shirt underneath. This strap here clearly is connecting the shoulder guard. Again, I feel like it's checking a lot of the boxes. It's detailed. There's a lot going on, but not too much going on. And there's like a little bit of symmetry. So in terms of sculpting, it's going to be relatively easy. Some cool straps, a little bit of clothing, which will be cool. And then the face, like I'm getting almost like an Avatar, like Na'vi style face, like very high cheekbones. So it's going to be slightly, not just a full basic human, a little bit of sculpting and sort of tweaking it and making it look really interesting. Yeah, I think this is going to be the one. The reason I'm not going with these ones, even though like they are cool, and I probably like, I really like this guy here. Like I really, really do. I mean, what I'll say is like connecting multi-arms together, like, like sculpting is just like crazy trying to build deltoids together. is really tough. So yeah, no. And then like I don't mind this one, but I've actually got a piece. I actually don't think it's live anymore. I probably got rid of it. Yeah. Let's go back here. If we go to how do we have to edit profile, manage portfolio? Yeah, this concept here, character, I guess, I created ages and ages ago. It's not good. Not good at all. But this is kind of similar to that. Doesn't mean I won't work on it again. Funnily enough, I didn't even think of it until now, but it also has the same issue that the dude had, which is all these arms. You know, like it looks cool when you're drawing it in 2D, but when you're sculpting all these arms connecting together, like deltoids connect, you know, and the way that connects into the scapula and all those sort of areas under here, it's easy when it's just one. Then you add another one in, another one, you got to start interpreting anatomy and ugh, can get very back into the whole thing I was saying before about like designing while sculpting can be a nightmare. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, I think it's the high cheekbones, honestly, for the avatar look. I think that's sort of they have that there. They definitely have like a very like long jaw section from the nose to the chin. Skeletal full body tattoo. That sounds sick. Like the tattoos used as the armor. Oh, so his face has a skull design. That's tough. I think like if the face has a tattoo on it, um, you will lose. Obviously, if you cast the person, you're gonna lose a lot of that. Tattoos tend to do that, but there was this. I'm gonna find this image. There's a character in a movie a few years ago. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, what's his name? El Diablo. So in the Suicide Squad, and I'm not. You don't have to failed opening image. How dare you? Also failed opening image. All right. Nope. Doesn't like that. Man, getting images off Google is getting harder and harder and harder. Why is it taking that? So annoying. We'll get there eventually, guys. We'll find whatever. This guy. I can't believe it was taking so long to get it. You know, like how he's kind of got like a skull, you know, tattoo face or something like that. I feel like that's very similar to what you were sort of saying. But like if you were to look at the actor, you wouldn't even notice it because like the way the tattoo kind of comes in into the face here, like it just really obscures a lot of the detail because you are just getting the skull. Yeah, I mean, eyes are always, you know, I mean, think of yeah, Spawn, Deadpool, or even like you know, like the new Marvel Spider-Man with Tom Holland, where it is like just a mask, but the eyes move. That's all you need, you know? And Deadpool's a great example. Same thing. Like all the only thing that moves is the eyes, and you get all the expression just from that. Um, Easier to draw too if you got to draw like multiple versions of it. Makes life way easier. Okay, so this is the character we're going to go with. So now I need to start collecting images to build out this reference board. So when I'm building a reference board, it sort of evolves over time. It's never, you know, for example, like with the textures and stuff for this metal, I'm not going to start grabbing that now. I'm not up the texturing stage. That's probably months away at this point. But what I can start getting is, I'm going to start isolating sections. We're going to look at some boots, find an actress or something that sort of matches. Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, that matches the face again, because we're going like, I might even like pull some avatar faces and sort of use that to help interpret this a little bit. Hair, if I would say one thing about the concept is the hair is just very, I can see the braids, but the rest, like it looks like it's meant to be quite messy. So I need to find some sort of real life version of that to make it easier for me to interpret down the line. Find some like a bow again, like the big pieces so that we're good to go. So I actually start, I like doing some things. So main margin concept. Oh my God. I'll learn to type one day. Yeah, so we'll go, I like to start breaking this in. And actually, one of the first things I'm going to do is bring it into Photoshop, because I like to. Let's go back here. I actually like to go through and color code a little bit of it and sort of figure out some things so that it's easier for me to deconstruct. So another thing I'm going to do as well, actually, because I sometimes forget, is then in brackets put the artist name, because I'm going to work on this and like, eventually I'm going to message, actually I might just message the artist now. But it's always good to get permission to work on something, especially if, maybe they don't want you to. But it's crazy how, like down the line, I'll forget who the artist is. So, yeah. All right. So we're going to bring this into Photoshop. Save this image. Just go desktop. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Cool. All right. All right. So we're in Photoshop. And so, like I said, I actually like to do kind of like, it's not like 100%, but I like to break it down. So I'm going to sort of do it material based. And so I might just do a little blue box, and we'll do like armor. Leather can be green just because it's obviously it's green. Oh my God. Nice. Brain working on one side, everything else. Leather. We'll make pink as body. I might do clothes. We'll do orange as clothes. And then last we'll do red. I was trying to avoid red, and I'm just going to do ACC for accessories. I tend to do accessories quite a lot. All right, so then we're going to drop that down to basically now just go through and not color in, but like, kind of color in. So I'm going to go through here. It can be rough as guts. It is just, we just want to kind of, oh yeah, that's good. Just a rough variation of this character in colors, right? And then we can control, just so that we have a really easy to look at version of, think of it as like materials and everything like that. I find it helps. Maybe you think it's pointless. That's totally fair. I think not only does this help, but it allows you to spend more time with the concept, looking at how many different things there are, right? And that time can be valuable. So I'm just going to go through and do this. Bear with me. Put some music on, chill. I really do like how detailed this concept is, though, because like I can like literally just like no very little interpretation on my end is required to create it, which is awesome. It's going to make sculpting so much easier. Again, it doesn't have to be super neat, but it helps, right? Because now I know there's two daggers here, probably the same, so it could probably just be copied and pasted, honestly. But again, I know this going in versus figuring it out later. Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna do body. And also like with like the body and stuff, like going through now, I'm like very clearly like, okay, not a lot of the body's visible, so that makes it easier for me when making it, knowing that like, I mean, obviously we're probably going to delete half the body now, but yeah, makes it easier for me. Leather. All right, let's do leather. Now what's interesting is like what kind of plate this is. There's obviously straps, so most likely this is leather, most likely. But then it's got these rivets here. So I'm going to leave that for now because I'm not 100%. Obviously, you wouldn't have tires if it was metal. Well, you could, I guess. I'm interpreting it as metal, especially with like the highlights and stuff and the rivets. Oh, see, there's a like leather strap here that I forgot. Hmm. Yeah, I'm getting to clothes. I mean, obviously we'll include the boots in here. Ooh, that looks like leather. So I think I'm actually going to end up interpreting this chest plate as armor for now. I think it makes sense. But you never know. Once we do some like reference searching, maybe we'll find a better representation of it. Now, well, yeah, keep that as clothes. Okay. Okay. Again, not crazy. Just a nice little quick thing. Okay. Okay. So now I have two versions of this here, which will make it again not like easier to make, but not too bad. All right. All right. Head. Hmm. Literally just searching high cheekbone actress. Find some semblance of someone I would want to use. And then once I've found that person, I'm pretty much only going to get reference of them to make it. Okay. You know, I did see a photo Angelina Jolie. Like as her as Maleficent. Yeah. It's kind of something similar. What is going on? I didn't. Oh my god. I'm like really struggling to download images today. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the one to go for. I think it's like good representation of what I'm looking for. Definitely way more extreme, but we still have like sort of like those hollow cheeks. You know, obviously we're going to want a higher nose, probably a less human nose, but yeah, cool. The lengths I had to go to get this image here. Okay. It's funny when you're collecting references, the sort of stuff you type into Google, it is just bizarre. And also, it's tough because, like, I'm going to use this as reference mainly, but I still need to. Oh my goodness gracious me. I still need to base it on a real person. And so we got to be careful because obviously she's going to be different ages in a bunch of these photos. And I don't want to, you know, start using her as a 20-year-old in one and everything like that. So I just want to be pretty selective of the photos I'm going to use. Trying to find multiple angles too can be tough, but hey. Not too bad. All right. And because we're mainly going to use Maleficent, let's get a bunch more references of Maleficent. Beg your pardon. It's not going to work, is it? Oh, look at that. It worked. Somehow I got two images, but it brings in all this random crap. But anyway. We don't need the Navi photo, but it will help. Look at this weird stuff. Like, I didn't even do this. Oh my god. Okay. I'm actually just looking at longbows at the moment, trying to find something that sort of matches. Gotta keep in mind this is a medieval fantasy character. Way harder than I would have thought to get a bow and arrow, but anyway. We'll just call this weapons. You know, have this and all the swords. Probably copy and paste that a couple of times. This one we're gonna try to find something. Why is it so hard to find like a bow and arrow? Like seriously. Oh god, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Okay. Like yeah. Anyway. Whatever. I feel like with the bow, I'm gonna probably end up having to like, you know, freaking design it myself, which based on all these sorts of designs that I'm seeing, that's not too far from it. That's the one I already got. Yeah, I might just grab that one as well. Kinda hard. Do you have any? No real idea of the quiver either. Now, the swords themselves, I think, are identical. Makes it nice and easy. We're not even going to get a concept for this because we're just going to use what we got. Sorry, grab like a real world image. Same here for the daggers, honestly. Just going to come here and take that. Cool. Just chuck these over here. Boots, 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 boots. I feel like I made these boots a million times anyway, so not super worried about them. That's a good. Oh, look at all these bloody useless things. Okay, that's probably enough for the boots. You know, we have the straps anyway, so. Anyway, I think, tonight was just a testing stream to make sure everything was working. So I think I am gonna call it there and just come back in a few days, and maybe tomorrow, we'll see. And yeah. But yeah, if everyone that joined, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next stream.